Hello, I'm Ashley Thomas, and here is my review of Fallen Kingdom. Directed by J.A. Bayona. I've only seen one other film by J.A. Bayona, and that was A Monster Calls. An absolute beautiful movie. I adore it. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. But yeah, he directs the sequel to Jurassic World. This one, we've got Chris Pratt returning as Owen, Bryce Dallas Howard returns as Claire, and they return to the island to try and rescue as many dinosaurs as they can from this volcano that's about to explode. Now, I absolutely loved the first film in this new series of, Jurassic movies. Jurassic World, I just adored. I thought it was made for the fans. It made me feel like a child again. I never actually got around to doing a review for that. It was just before I started my YouTube channel. One day I might though. A lot of people hated it. I'm just happened to be one of those people that loved Jurassic World, directed by Colin Trevorrow. And Fallen Kingdom is in my list of anticipated movies for 2018. I was really looking forward to this movie. I was really excited. We got J.A. Bayona directing, who, from what I've heard and read, does some really good work when it comes to horror. And I like that because I love the horror element of these movies. So I was hoping there would be a much larger focus on that horror within this movie. So let's start off with the positives. What I liked about this film. And I liked the visuals. This movie has some stunning visual storytelling. There's some beautiful moments in this movie where the visuals just say so much without really anyone saying anything. And there's some stunning cinematography in the film as well. So from a visual sort of standpoint, this movie looks really nice. It's probably one of the nicest looking Jurassic Park movies. And there is a moment within this film which I did tear up. The twice I actually seen this movie, I teared up at the same moment. And it was all down to how it played out, visually on the screen. It was beautiful. I also like the fact that they really relied on animatronics in this movie more than the first Jurassic World. There was much more practical effects, actual real, well, not real dinosaurs, but actual dinosaurs that were built, that were created, so the actors could interact with them, and you could see this, and I loved that because it just makes the film feel more real. If you rely so much on CGI, it takes away that realism, and I do think Jurassic World, the first one, probably did overuse a little bit when it came to the CGI, but with the sequel they really tried to use as much animatronics as they could, and I really appreciated that because it grounded the film more. What I will say is the CGI is good. It's it's good CGI, but it doesn't compare that first movie, Jurassic Park, and even The Lost World. I still think the dinosaurs look better in those two movies than they do now. I think they looked more real in the first Jurassic Park movie and The Lost World. And that's when CGI, they were just starting out with CGI. CGI was new. And the dinosaurs just look so much better, even than today, what we get with today's films, including Fallen Kingdom. Like, the effects are good, but I just... When I can watch Jurassic Park today and see that T-Rex for the first time. No, it's CGI, but it looks so real that I forget it's CGI. I watched the new movies, Jurassic Park 3, the first Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and yeah, they look good. I know the CGI, but I never forget that CGI. I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's a CGI dinosaur. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm actually really glad they did rely a lot more on animatronics in this movie. Because for me, that did really sort of bring the realism back a little bit and grounded it a little bit more. I also like the horror element of the movie. I love the horror, the focus on horror. It reminded me of the first and the second movie. There are some really creepy and intense moments in this movie, and I would even go as far as saying horrific. There were a lot of kids at the first screening that I went to, and I was quite surprised these kids didn't start crying or running out of the cinema, because there are some intense horror moments in this film. I loved it. I just kind of wish they let Bayona sort of really go all out, but then we probably would have ended up having an R-rated movie, because I think this really pushed that 12A rating. They were quite smart in how they did the horror and the violence in this movie. But I felt they were really pushing the boundaries. But I loved it. There was this really creepy moment in the movie. It's in all the trailers, but I loved it. And it's when the girl is in her bed and she's hiding under the blanket and the Indoraptor creeps into her room. It was amazing. It was really creepy. It was intense. The way that scene played out visually was beautiful. The use of shadows and lighting, I loved it. And just before that moment, there's this really sort of dramatic moment with this Indoraptor sort of climbing the roof of this house, and you've got this really powerful score. The score was composed by Michael Giacchino, and I loved it. I loved the music in this movie. It had a very sort of like a 50s monster B-movie sound about it, a vibe about it. And he used a lot of elements from the Lost World soundtrack as well, which was quite nice to hear. Again, making me feel like a child again when I was watching The Lost World for the first time. There were moments in this film which made me feel a little bit nostalgic, not as much as the first Jurassic World. The first Jurassic World really was a nostalgic ride for me. And this is quite a fast-paced movie. It moves quite quickly. For 2 hours, it doesn't feel like 2 hours. Unlike the other movies, I do like the fact it raises that question of, have we got the right to play God, and play around with nature, create life and destroy it when we want and all of that. I like that. The other movies touched on it, so did this. My only wish was, I wish it exploded a bit more and dug a bit deeper into all of that, because it does touch on it, and it even starts to explore the sort of genetic side of it, the cloning. It really dug a little bit deeper into that with this movie. But again, for me, it was just very brief, and I really wanted them to explore that a bit more, because overall, now I'm going to go into the negatives now. For me, Fallen Kingdom didn't offer anything new, and I was ultimately disappointed with Fallen Kingdom. I was so looking forward to this movie, but for me, especially the second time round, it just felt like a retread of Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World movie, and The Lost World. It felt like they just combined Jurassic World and The Lost World, and this is what we got. And even though it sort of touches on the genetic side of the story and the cloning side of the story, there was nothing about this movie that felt fresh or new. And yeah, there were moments which I felt a little bit nostalgic, but like I said, not quite as much as what that first movie did for me. And it references the other movies, previous movies, way too much, and it sort of relied on that as well. And for me, it all helped add to this feeling of this film wasn't offering me anything new. You had a scene in this movie which replicated a scene from the kitchen scene in the first Jurassic Park. The entire way this particular moment played out was exactly like this kitchen scene, and a moment in that kitchen scene, and it was like, it didn't do anything for me. So yeah, it really referenced, and there were moments in this film that looked like as if they really had mimicked or copied certain moments from previous movies like The Lost World and even Jurassic Park 3. I thought the script was quite bad in this one. When it comes to the characters, like I said, I just didn't care about the characters in this one. Not much depth to them. I didn't really care for them. And I had a similar issue with the first movie in regards to character. But when it comes to performances, Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt, I think they both did quite a good job, actually. I really dug their performances, actually. But when it came to the characters and really caring, I can't say I really particularly cared, to be honest. And something that really annoyed me in this movie was convenient plot devices. There are so many convenient plot devices in this movie. Something happens for an obvious reason and it sort of becomes predictable. So, it really bugged me that. So yeah, this movie, Fallen Kingdom, didn't quite capture the magic of the first movie. Didn't really expect it to, but it didn't really capture the magic of the first Jurassic World. Now, like I said, I'm a big fan of that first Jurassic World movie, and it transported me back to being a child again, watching Jurassic Park for the first time on the big screen. This one didn't do that for me, and it was it was a disappointment. And for me, when it comes to the storytelling, it just felt very, very lazy. It just didn't offer anything new or different, and yet it touched on some things which it had, which was sort of interesting, and I really wanted it to explore a bit more, like going back to genetics and cloning, but it only really touched on it. So overall, it's just coming out to this movie, I was like, one of the questions I asked myself was, did we really need Fallen Kingdom? Because, like I said, it didn't offer anything new, and just when it came to the storytelling, it just felt very lazy. It borrowed so much from from previous movies. In a way, in regards to the story, it kind of felt like they didn't really know where they wanted to go with the story. That's how the film felt. Like, yeah, I did find it fun. It was exciting. It has its moments. But it really, when it came to the story, it felt a little bit clunky. You could see they didn't quite know where they really wanted to go with this movie. And so, as a result, they ended up sort of using a lot of moments from previous movies and just popping them into this one. And it made the film feel a little bit cheap. In a way, this film felt like two people had made it. You had J.A. Bayona, who really came through when it came to the visuals. Like, that felt like J.A. Bayona in certain moments when it, those stunning visuals. But then there's parts of this movie that feel like a studio is directing this film. So you've got these two different personalities sort of trying to create this one vision. And that's how it felt in ways. It suffered as a result. It does. I don't know if that's just me, or did you guys, any of you that have seen this film, feel the same way? Let me know below. But it really did feel like J.A. Bayona wasn't really allowed to fully express himself in this movie, and he tried his hardest to do it, because you did have those really nice, stunning moments in this film, but overall, Universal won. And the film really lacked emotional clout and impact when required or when needed. Like, there's moments, for example, when some of the characters see a dinosaur for the first time, a Brachiosaurus. It's in the trailers, and they walk in past sort of the main centre of the park. And it's supposed to be a moment which, when you were a kid watching the first movie for the first time and you first seen that Brachiosaurus walk past the Jeep, it's supposed to be one of those moments. But the film doesn't achieve it. It doesn't give you that same feeling of going, wow, not only is this character seeing the dinosaur for the first time, but the film is supposed to make you feel, as an audience member, feel that you're seeing a dinosaur for the first time, and it just didn't do it for me. And that's going back to failing to capture the magic of that first movie, and even Jurassic World, dare I say it. Those moments which really needed to have that impact, that emotional impact, to really resonate with the audience, it failed. And just overall, the entire movie, the entire experience just felt a little bit empty and a little bit flat. Like, you just didn't really care for these characters, not even the new characters. And it just, when it came to some of the action scenes just felt very flat and just lacked any urgency. One of the new characters, Rodriguez, a female character, some sort of doctor, I just found her character very annoying. And some of the dialogue, some of her lines were just so cringy and corny. She'd go calling one of these Marines, beefcake, and it'll be like, ah. And it's as a result of these very sort of dull, poorly written characters that, is the reason behind why I felt like a lot of the moments in this movie, it lacked any urgency when it needed. Because you just didn't really care about what was actually going on as a result of the characters. And it's not a terrible movie. And it's not a badly made movie. It's actually crafted quite well. It's a stunning film visually. It's got beautiful music, some really nice cinematography. For me, where this film really suffered really was the storytelling and the characters, and giving us something different, giving us something new, and making it feel fresh and relevant. It didn't feel like we needed Fallen Kingdom. But there we go, we've got it. A bit of a disappointment for me, which is a shame, because it's one of my, it was one of my anticipated movies of the year. Yeah, they are my thoughts and opinions of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and I will be giving Fallen Kingdom a C. what do you guys think of Fallen Kingdom? Let me know below. Do you love it or hate it? Let me know. I can't say I loved it and I can't say I hate it. I'm sort of in the middle with Fallen Kingdom. There was potential there. I loved that focus on horror, but overall it was just a disappointment. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. And remember, if you want to see future reviews from me, then don't forget to hit subscribe.